Hello and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about Romans 3:23 and 24. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace. Hear that. His grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. And that redemption that is in Christ Jesus was really illuminated this past weekend in Easter. His life, death, and resurrection was all for our redemption. That's the only reason that God sent Jesus to this earth, was to redeem us. Not to come here and, put us down and belittle us and make sure that we know we're under God's hand and we're just humans. No, he came to set us free from sin. And that alone is so beautiful. Jesus, the Son of God, God in human form, came to this earth to set us free, not to enslave us, but to set us free from sin. That alone is beautiful. But what I want to talk about today is that feeling of, just as believers or people in general, perfectionists, where you feel like you have to be perfect and you feel like you constantly have to earn the respect of others, or sometimes even the respect of yourself. You have to prove it to yourself before you feel like you even deserve it. So I want to get into that and unpack that a little bit today with this verse in mind. So starting with verse 23, it says, for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. That shows you that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be perfect. Because all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Everyone, even the person who's trying to shame you for the mistakes you've made, even that group of people who's trying to publicly humiliate you at school or in your group of friends or whatever for that one thing you did a month ago, a week ago, or even yesterday, it doesn't matter, because they too have fallen short of the glory of God. That is exactly why I cannot stand that judgmental attitude within the church specifically. This whole thing is based on us not being enough, needing Jesus to get to God, and we need to come together in that imperfectness. Not to say that we should support each other in our, dysfunctional behaviors, but we should support each other to do better rather than to shame each other and bring each other down just because we've made mistakes. Makes no sense to me. Going on to the next part where it says, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. So, Jesus holds the keys of redemption and freedom and joy and peace and patience, and all those fruits of the Spirit start with that seed of belief in Jesus. And we're redeemed through that seed of belief in Jesus. And just because you believe doesn't mean you're never going to have doubts. Just because you have a doubt doesn't mean you're letting God down. You can go to God with your doubts. I think that's how your faith becomes more vibrant and stronger and more lifelike, more realistic. That's how your faith grows and evolves, is when you take your doubts to Jesus rather than just letting them sit in your heart, locking them away and saying, oh, I can't show God this doubt, even though he already knows it's there. But you actively trying to pull it away from God actively just pulls your whole soul away from God. You can't keep anything hidden from God. He knows you. He knows everything inside and out. But to get back to the point, sorry, that was a rant, of you feeling like you let God down. You cannot let God down when you're not the one holding him up. How can you let someone down when you're not holding them up? And this applies to our interpersonal relationships between just people. If I have a friend, or say a girlfriend, and I place way too much weight, this happens all the time. People get in relationships and they put way too much weight on their partner. And what that does is your pedestal then becomes your partner. And as soon as your partner lets you down, you go down with them. You feel disappointed in them and you get angry at them because you're putting too much weight on them. But in reality, you should both be rooted in God, should be based in God, should all be, it should all start with God. But you're both, when you're on God, you're both stable so that when you quote unquote let one another down or you just make a mistake, you're not that when you make a mistake in a relationship, it will no longer be, oh, I'm letting them down. It's just, I'm making a mistake and I'm human and they understand that. In the same way between us and God, he doesn't expect us to be perfect because we're not the ones who created him. We're not the ones who sustained him. We are not the ones who's in control. God's in control. He created us and he sustains us. So we can't let him down. We cannot let him down. And you don't have to be perfect. I just want you to hear that today, that you're allowed to make mistakes. It is through, I messed up in the last time I tried to record. Oh God, help me. It is by grace through faith that you are saved. There we go. By justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus. And that's freely given. It's always accessible. So if you are not a believer today, I just encourage you. I'm not trying to force you. I'm not trying to be over evangelistic and, convert, believe in Jesus. No. What I'm saying is just look into it and do not discount Christianity because of the misuse of it or the mistakes that people have made within it. Because people make mistakes in every category. Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, all religions, even people who are atheists make mistakes. I think we can all agree on that. So as you go throughout this next day or week or whatever it is, just remember that you don't have to be perfect and take that pressure off your shoulders and you can breathe in the peace that is the death and resurrection of Jesus that offers redemption and freedom to us all. With that, go in peace. I love you. Deuces.